Did you know that the Grand Canyon is so deep that the temperature at the rim and the bottom can differ by over 25 degrees Fahrenheit on the same day? That it contains rock layers representing nearly 2 billion years of Earth's geological history, almost half the age of the planet itself, and that the Colorado River, which carved this mile-deep chasm, has removed an estimated 1,000 cubic miles of rock over the past 5 to 6 million years. The Grand Canyon is not just a scenic viewpoint, it is a vertical timeline through Earth's history, a living laboratory of erosion, and a landscape so vast that it creates its own weather patterns. Get ready, because today you're about to discover 35 absurd facts about the Grand Canyon that sound fake but are completely real. Facts that will forever change the way you understand one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. 35. The incomprehensible scale of the canyon. The first thing you need to understand about the Grand Canyon is that it defies human comprehension. Of size. The canyon measures 277 miles long, stretches up to 18 miles wide, and plunges to a maximum depth of 6,093 feet. You could stack 5 Empire State Buildings from the canyon floor and still not reach the rim. The park encompasses 1,904 square miles, larger than the entire state of Rhode Island. NASA astronauts report that the Grand Canyon is one of the few geological features clearly visible from the International Space Station without magnification. This is not a gorge. It is a continental scale wound in the Earth's crust. 34. The missing billion years. The Grand Canyon contains one of geology's greatest mysteries, the Great Unconformity. At the bottom, you find 1.84 billion year old Vishnu schist, but directly above it sits Tapete sandstone deposited 550 million years ago. Between these layers lies a gap representing 1.2 billion years of Earth's history that simply vanished, eroded away by ancient rivers and glaciers. This missing period represents nearly a quarter of Earth's entire existence. Standing at this boundary, you are touching 2 rocks separated by more time than the entire span from dinosaurs to humans. 33. 5 life zones in one park. Descending from the North Rim at 8,200 feet to the Colorado River at 2,400 feet is the ecological equivalent of driving from Canada to Mexico. You pass through 5 distinct life zones: boreal forest, ponderosa pine forest, pinyon juniper woodland, desert scrub, and riparian zones. The North Rim receives 25 inches of snow annually, while the canyon floor bakes at temperatures exceeding 115 degrees Fahrenheit. When I hiked rim to rim in October, I started in freezing rain wearing a winter jacket and finished at the river in 95-degree heat wearing shorts. The temperature, precipitation, and plant life transformed completely across just 14 miles of vertical descent. 32. The Colorado River's sediment secret. Before Glen Canyon Dam was built in 1963, the Colorado River carried an average of 500,000 tons of sediment through the canyon every single day, enough material to fill a football field 33 feet deep annually. The river's name comes from the Spanish word for colored, referring to its natural rust-colored appearance from suspended silt. The dam trapped this sediment behind Lake Powell, fundamentally altering the ecosystem. Native fish species evolved in muddy, warm water filled with nutrients. Now they struggle in the cold, clear water released from the dam's depths. 31. The North Rim versus South Rim mystery. The North Rim sits 1,000 feet higher than the South Rim, yet they're only 10 miles apart as the crow flies. The North Rim receives 60% more precipitation, creating an entirely different ecosystem. Dense forests of spruce, fir, and aspen versus the South Rim's pinyon pines and junipers. But here's the absurdity. Driving from one rim to the other requires a 215-mile journey taking 5 hours. The park closes the North Rim entirely from mid-October to mid-May due to heavy snowfall, while the South Rim remains open year-round. It's like having 2 completely different national parks separated by an impassable chasm. 30. The canyon's active formation. The Grand Canyon is not finished, it's still being carved. The Colorado River continues to erode the canyon floor at approximately 1 foot every 1,000 years. The canyon widens through cliff collapse and erosion at roughly 1 foot every 200 years. After heavy rains or freeze-thaw cycles, massive rockfalls send thousands of tons of stone tumbling into the canyon. In December 2022, a rockfall near the Yavapai Geology Museum sent boulders the size of cars onto the rim trail. The canyon is literally reshaping itself in real time. 29. The Kaibab Squirrel Paradox. The North Rim is home to the Kaibab squirrel, found nowhere else on Earth. It evolved in complete isolation from the aberrant squirrel on the South Rim. Two populations separated by the uncrossable canyon for approximately 10,000 years. The Kaibab squirrel developed a distinctive all-white tail and darker body, while the aberrant squirrel retained its gray coloring. Research shows measurable genetic divergence between the populations despite their proximity. I stood on the North Rim watching these squirrels and realized I was witnessing speciation in progress, evolution actively creating a new species separated by geographic isolation. 28. The California condor's resurrection. In 1987, the California condor was declared extinct in the wild, with only 22 birds remaining in captivity. The Grand Canyon became ground zero for one of conservation's most ambitious experiments. In 1996, 6 captive bred condors were released into the canyon. Today, over 500 California condors exist worldwide, with approximately 90 birds soaring over the Grand Canyon. These birds, with a wingspan reaching 9.5 feet, are North America's largest flying land bird. They can live 60 years, travel 150 miles per day searching for carrion, and spot a dead animal from 3 miles away. 27. The invisible river at the bottom. The Colorado River accounts for only 10% of the water flowing through the Grand Canyon ecosystem. The other 90% comes from springs, seeps, and tributary streams invisible from the rim. The Park Service has documented over 400 springs emerging from canyon walls, some producing thousands of gallons per minute. Thunder River, one of the shortest rivers in the world at just 0.5 miles long, produces 96 million gallons of water per day flowing from a cave in the canyon wall. This hidden hydrology supports 89 mammal species, 48 reptile species, and 355 bird species. 26. The Desert Bighorn Sheep's vertical world. Desert bighorn sheep, weighing up to 280 pounds, routinely traverse near vertical cliff faces using hooves with specialized pads that grip rock ledges less than 2 inches wide. GPS collar research shows bighorn sheep regularly move across slopes exceeding 60-degree angles and can jump vertically 7 feet from a standstill. They've evolved to survive by going days without water, obtaining moisture from desert vegetation, then descending treacherous cliffs to reach the Colorado River. I watched through binoculars as a mother and lamb crossed a cliff face that appeared completely smooth, their movements impossibly precise. 25. The microclimate inversion effect. During winter, the Grand Canyon experiences a phenomenon where the bottom becomes warmer than the top. Cold air sinks into the canyon, creating a temperature inversion where Phantom Ranch might register 50 degrees Fahrenheit, while the South Rim shivers at 20 degrees Fahrenheit, a 30-degree difference across just 10 vertical miles. Hikers begin their descent bundled against blizzards at the rim, then strip down as they warm up, only to face hypothermia on the return climb. Park rangers call it the flip-flop phenomenon, and it contributes to dozens of rescues annually. 24. The hidden waterfalls of Havasu Creek. Within the Grand Canyon's western reaches lies Havasu Canyon, home to waterfalls with bright, turquoise water year-round due to high calcium carbonate content. The water deposits travertine, creating natural dams that form Havasu Falls, 100-foot drop, and Mooney Falls, 190-foot drop. The water maintains a constant 70 degrees Fahrenheit temperature, fed by springs producing 38 million gallons daily. You're hiking through scorching red desert, and suddenly you encounter tropical-colored waterfalls surrounded by swimming holes. In 2008, a massive flood completely reshaped Navajo Falls overnight. 23. John Wesley Powell's one-armed expedition. In 1869, Civil War veteran John Wesley Powell led the first documented expedition down the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon, despite having only one arm after losing his right arm at the Battle of Shiloh. Powell and 9 men embarked on May 24, 1869, in 4 wooden boats. They spent 3 months navigating unmapped rapids, portaging boats around waterfalls, and surviving on meager rations. Powell kept detailed scientific notes while clinging to boats. with one hand in white water. He emerged on August 30th with 6 survivors, having completed one of the most audacious explorations in American history. 22. The Bright Angel Fault Line. The Bright Angel Trail follows a geological fault line that cuts diagonally across the canyon. This fault, created by tectonic movement millions of years ago, fractured rock layers, making them more susceptible to erosion. Water carved along this zone of weakness, creating a natural corridor through otherwise impenetrable cliffs. Native Americans recognized this geological gift and used the fault line as a trade route for over 1,000 years. Today's hikers walk the same path used by Havasupai people for centuries, following a crack in the Earth's crust that made the canyon accessible. 21. The canyon's echo phenomenon. The Grand Canyon's unique acoustic properties create spectacular sound experiences. Sounds can echo for up to 40 seconds in certain locations. The Park Service has documented instances where voices from the opposite rim, up to 10 miles away, can be heard under perfect atmospheric conditions, typically at dawn when air is still. When I stood at Hopi Point at sunrise and called out, my voice returned multiple times, bouncing between cliff faces. Thunder from summer monsoons can reverberate continuously for minutes, creating a rolling cacophony that sounds like the canyon itself is alive. 20. The oldest exposed rock in North America. At the bottom of the inner gorge lies the Vishnu Schist, metamorphic rock formed 1.84 billion years ago when North America was part of the supercontinent Columbia. This rock formed 12 miles underground under immense heat and pressure. It contains no fossils because life on Earth was still exclusively single-celled bacteria when this rock formed. To touch this rock is to touch a substance older than atmospheric oxygen, older than any complex life form. It predates the formation of Earth's first continents. 19. The mule team's perfect safety. Record. Since the Park Service began keeping records in 1924, no mule has ever fallen off the Bright Angel or South Kaibab trails, despite carrying thousands of riders down paths with sheer 1,000-foot drop-offs. These mules possess an instinctual understanding of balance and survival-driven caution. Each mule has carried riders for years, learning the trail's every switchback and loose rock. The mules walk the extreme outside edge of trails without hesitation, their hooves within inches of exposed cliffs. Meanwhile, dozens of hikers suffer fatal falls annually. You're statistically safer trusting a mule's judgment than your own. 18. The fossil desert at the rim. The Coconino sandstone layer visible near the rim contains fossilized sand dunes from an ancient desert that existed 275 million years ago. This 400-foot thick layer preserves trackways of primitive reptiles, scorpions, and millipedes that crossed dunes when the Grand Canyon region was near the equator. Paleontologists have documented thousands of fossilized footprints. The sandstone's distinctive cross-bedding, curved layers within the rock, maps the exact shapes of ancient dunes frozen in time. When wind and rain erode fresh surfaces, new trackways emerge that haven't seen daylight in a 250 million years. 17. The Colorado River's Disappearing Act. Glen Canyon Dam has fundamentally altered the Colorado River's flow. Before 1963, spring floods exceeded 300,000 cubic feet per second. Today, dam operations maintain flows between 8,000 and 25,000 cubic feet per second, a 92% reduction. The lowest recorded flow was 1,200 cubic feet per second, 99.6% less than historic peaks. This has created hungry water. The clear, cold water released from the dam actively erodes beaches without depositing new sediment. The Park Service now conducts experimental high-flow releases to rebuild beaches critical for camping and protecting archaeological sites. 16. The lightning capital of the West. During summer monsoon season, the Grand Canyon becomes one of the most electrically active places in the western United States. The National Lightning Detection Network records over 25,000 cloud-to-ground lightning strikes within park boundaries annually. The canyon itself creates these storms. Intense daytime heating of the canyon floor creates powerful updrafts that lift moisture, forming massive cumulonimbus clouds by afternoon. I watched from Yavapai Point as a storm cell formed over the canyon in 20 minutes, producing continuous lightning that illuminated the entire gorge. 15. The Cross Canyon Temperature Gradient. On a single summer day, temperatures across the Grand Canyon can vary by 45 degrees Fahrenheit. When Phantom Ranch records 118 degrees Fahrenheit in July, the North Rim simultaneously registers 73 degrees Fahrenheit. This isn't just elevation, it's a combination of altitude, sun exposure, thermal mass of rock absorbing and radiating heat, and vegetation differences. The inner canyon becomes a convection oven. This temperature gradient creates powerful powerful convection currents. Hot air rising from the canyon floor carries hawks and condors upward in thermal columns. The Park Service conducts over 300 heat-related rescues annually. 14. The tamarisk invasion. Non-native tamarisk trees introduced in the 1800s for erosion control now dominate 90% of riparian areas along the Colorado River. Each mature tamarisk consumes 200 gallons of water daily, fundamentally altering the ecosystem. Native willows and cottonwoods have been displaced. Tamarisk creates dense thickets impenetrable to wildlife, changes soil chemistry by depositing salt, and increases wildfire risk. The Park Service has spent millions removing tamarisk, but the invasion continues. A single plant produces 600,000 seeds annually. The Colorado River ecosystem that Powell documented in 1869 has been replaced by a completely different plant community. 13. The canyon's air quality paradox. Despite being in one of America's most remote regions, the Grand Canyon experiences some of the worst air quality of any national park. Visibility has decreased from a natural 140 miles to sometimes less than 90 miles on poor air quality days. The primary culprits are coal-fired power plants located hundreds of miles away. Sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides transform into fine particulate matter, creating a brownish haze. The Navajo Generating Station operated from 1974 to 2019, at its peak emitting 20,000 tons of sulfur dioxide annually. Since its closure, visibility has measurably improved. 12. The Phantom Ranch Post Office. At 2,480 feet elevation on the canyon floor sits the only mail delivery in the United States still conducted entirely by mule. The Phantom Ranch Post Office, operated since 1935, receives mail carried down 9.6 miles from the South Rim by pack mules 3 times weekly. Hikers can mail postcards stamped with the distinctive "Mailed by Mule" from the bottom of the canyon cancellation mark. Mail delivery continues year-round, regardless of weather. It represents the canyon's isolation. No roads, no vehicles, no drones. Just mules, steel shoes on stone, and the U.S. Postal Service's commitment. 11. The Inner Canyon's riparian oasis. Only 0.05% of the Grand Canyon's total area, approximately 1,000 acres, consists of riparian habitat, yet these narrow strips support disproportionate abundance of life. Park biologists have documented over 350 bird species using riparian corridors during migration, 89 mammal species dependent on water access, and 48 reptile species concentrated near permanent streams. These green ribbons contrast violently with surrounding desert. The riparian zones function as biological highways, wildlife corridors allowing species movement through otherwise inhospitable terrain. 10. The catastrophic debris flows. Side canyons can unleash debris flows carrying boulders the size of cars at speeds up to 20 miles per hour during flash floods. These flows can temporarily dam the Colorado River. In 1966, a debris flow in Crystal Creek deposited massive boulders into the Colorado River, creating Crystal Rapid, now rated among the most dangerous rapids in North America. These events occur suddenly. A thunderstorm drops 2 inches of rain in 20 minutes, and within an hour, a wall of debris surges down the drainage. River runners have documented flows depositing 30,000 cubic yards of material in a single event. 9. The endangered humpback chub. The Colorado River harbors the humpback chub, a bizarre prehistoric fish found nowhere else on Earth, with an enlarged hump behind its head, evolved to navigate powerful rapids. This fish, reaching 20 inches in length, evolved over 3 to 5 million years in the warm, sediment-rich Colorado River that no longer exists. Current population estimates show fewer than 12,000 individuals remain. The clear, cold water released from Glen Canyon Dam, staying at 46 degrees Fahrenheit year-round, creates conditions where non-native trout thrive and prey on juvenile humpback chub. We're witnessing extinction in slow motion. 8. The canyon's sonic boom problem. During the 1970s and 1980s, military jets routinely flew supersonic over the Grand Canyon, creating sonic booms that caused measurable rockfalls and structural damage to ancient cliff dwellings. Park Service studies documented that sonic booms exceeding 2 pounds per square foot of overpressure triggered rock collapses. These booms also disrupted wildlife. California condors abandoned nests, deaths. Bighorn sheep stampeded. Public outcry led to the establishment of special flight-restricted airspace in 1987, prohibiting supersonic flight below 14,000 feet. But commercial air tours remain controversial. Over 100,000 flights annually generate noise pollution impacting 88% of the park. 7. The layered fossil record. The Grand Canyon contains one of Earth's most complete fossil records, spanning from 1.2 billion-year-old stromatolites to 270 million-year-old reptile tracks. You can hike Earth through 300 million years of evolution in a single day, examining fossils at each layer. The Kaibab limestone at the rim contains fossilized sponges, corals, and marine organisms from 270 million years ago when a shallow sea covered this region. Walking the trail, you're literally stepping through time, seeing Earth's transformation from bacterial mats to complex marine ecosystems to terrestrial life. 6. The 1956 mid-air collision. On June 30th, 1956, the Grand Canyon became the site of the deadliest commercial aviation disaster in history at that time. TWA Flight 2 and United Airlines Flight 718 collided at 21,000 feet over the canyon. All 128 people aboard both aircraft perished. Wreckage fell into the remote eastern Grand Canyon, inaccessible except by helicopter and pack mule. This tragedy directly led to the creation of the modern Federal Aviation Administration and mandatory radar coverage. The Grand Canyon, a symbol of natural beauty, became the catalyst for transforming aviation safety worldwide. 5. The future of the canyon. Climate models predict the Southwest will experience mega-drought conditions lasting decades, potentially reducing the Colorado River to flows 40 to 50% below 20th century averages by 2050. Lake Mead and Lake Powell are already at historic lows, hovering near 25% capacity. If this trajectory continues, the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon could shrink to a seasonal trickle, fundamentally altering the ecosystem in ways unprecedented in the canyon's 6 million year history. Riparian vegetation would collapse, aquatic species would face extinction, and the river's erosive power would cease. For the Grand Canyon supergroup mystery, between the 1.84 billion year old Vishnu schist and the 550 million year old Tapete sandstone lies the Grand Canyon supergroup, tilted layers of rock deposited between 1.2 billion and 740 million years ago. These layers represent ancient seas, rivers, lava flows, and volcanic ash deposits. What makes this absurd is that most of the supergroup, originally 12,000 feet thick, was completely eroded away before the Tapete sandstone was deposited on top. These tilted layers tell a story of continents colliding, mountains rising, eroding to plains, then being flooded by seas, all before complex life evolved. 3. The 12,000-year-old human artifacts. Archaeological evidence places humans at the Grand Canyon as early as 12,000 years ago. The most remarkable discoveries are the split twig figurines, tiny animal effigies woven from willow branches found in remote caves. Carbon dating places these artifacts at 4,000 years old, making them among the oldest ritual objects in North America. Over 3,000 figurines have been documented, deliberately placed in caves, often pierced with small spears or sticks. Researchers believe they represent hunting magic rituals. These objects are so well preserved in the canyon's dry caves that they appear almost modern. 2. The rim-to-rim temperature survivals. Range. The Grand Canyon holds both extremes of Arizona temperature records. At Phantom Ranch, the temperature reached a disputed 128 degrees Fahrenheit in 1905, while the North Rim regularly experiences winter lows below minus 20 degrees Fahrenheit. This 148-degree potential temperature range within a single park is among the most extreme in the national park system. Wildlife and plants have adapted to survive both extremes. Cacti at the bottom endure 3-digit heat, while spruce trees on the rim withstand sub-zero cold. Summer rim-to-rim hikers must prepare for both 115 degrees Fahrenheit heat at midday and potential 40 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures at the rim by evening. 1. The true heart of the canyon. We've reached the end of our journey, and the geographic center of Grand Canyon National Park sits deep within the canyon's interior, in a remote section inaccessible by any maintained trail. Located in the eastern Grand Canyon near Unker Delta, Delta. This point requires technical climbing, rappelling, and river crossing to reach. Fewer than 100 people have likely stood at this exact spot in the park's entire history. There's no marker, no plaque, nothing but stone and sky. At the heart of the canyon lies not a monument or viewpoint, but pure, untouched stone. A reminder that despite millions of visitors annually, the Grand Canyon remains largely unexplored wilderness. After learning these 35 absurd facts about the Grand Canyon, tell us which one surprised you the most, or which one changed the way you think about this natural wonder. Leave it in the comments. Let's see how many of us picked the same fact. And if you think we missed something, or want to add your own incredible discovery, we'd love to hear from you. Your insights help us make every video even better. There's another video on screen right now, so you can keep exploring the natural wonders of America's national parks. But before you go, don't forget to subscribe and give it a like so we can keep discovering together. See you in the next one.